Good morning, I'm Ernst van Zyl. If we wanted to determine which country's government is the most racist in the world today, the number of race-based laws a government has on the books is a good measure. The ANC-led South African government has over 145 such racist laws. I reckon it is therefore fair to give the South African government the title of the most race-mad on earth. Think that's a bit harsh? Well, allow me to give you an overview of how racially discriminatory policies in South Africa have increased and intensified in 2025 alone, and then decide for yourself. Every single claim that will be made in this video is backed up by sources, which can be found in AfriForum's latest The World Must Know report, which can be downloaded by following the link in the description or visiting www.theworldmustknow.co.za. According to the South African Institute of Race Relations Race Laws Index, the South African government currently has 145 operative race-based laws, many of which are explicitly discriminatory. Out of the 324 race-based acts passed by the South African Parliament since 1910, 122 or 38% were adopted since the ANC came to power in 1994. The latest addition to the Race Laws Index came in January 2025 with the adoption of the Deeds Registry's Amendment Act 20 of 2024. Through this act, South African law now allows officials to record the race of property owners, forcing race into an area of law which has hitherto been non-racial. In January 2025, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Communications Committee emphasized that Elon Musk's Starlink has no choice but to comply with local race-based ownership criteria if it wants to operate in South Africa. In January 2025 as well, legal papers were filed in the North Gauteng High Court against the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, or the PPRA, as well as the Minister of Human Settlements, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, and the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, over moves by the PPRA to no longer issue Fidelity Fund certificates to businesses that don't meet strict racial criteria. By law, property practitioners, including estate agents, need Fidelity Fund certificates to operate. In March 2025, a South African professional cricket team, the EP Warriors, was kicked out of the One-Day Cup tournament and fined 500,000 rand for not meeting the government's strict racial quotas. Also in March, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition published a draft concept document for a 100 billion rand racially discriminatory transformation fund, which excludes white-owned businesses from funding, debt relief and grants. South African companies will be mandated to allocate 3% of their annual net profit after tax towards this discriminatory fund. In April, the civil rights organization AfriForum's fight against race-based water rights continued. The organization's legal team filed an appeal against the Department of Water and Sanitation's rejection of an application for the transfer of a black farmer's water rights for irrigation to a white farmer based on race. In April 2025, the South African Department of Labour promulgated 2 sets of employment equity regulations that impose mandatory race quotas for all employers, state and private, with more than 50 employees. The regulations set 5-year numerical targets for racial representation across 18 economic sectors, including mining, manufacturing and agriculture. In an interview published on 12 May 2025, ANC national spokesperson Malengi Bengu stated that international investors who wish to invest in South Africa but want secure property rights and no racial criteria can take their money elsewhere, such as India.
Let's do a little exercise, you and I, right? I hand over your phone number because I've got your number to an international investor. They contact you. They say, I am Mr. Big Shot from some country and I want to open a multi-billion-dollar factory in South Africa. I'm going to buy this land, which I've earmarked. I'm going to build a big factory, right? I'm going to employ thousands of people, but I need to know that nobody, not just you, but nobody could at some stage say, in the public interest, we might just want your big factory and your intellectual property. Can you guarantee me that you can't have it? Then he says, I'm going to bring in a lot of specialists, but I see that there's an employment equity tick box exercise, right, where I am being told who to hire, right? And I run companies all over the world, and nowhere am I told who I must hire. Should I invest in your country or shouldn't I? How would you answer that particular investor?
That you can go and invest in India or elsewhere.
So go somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay. So,
no.
Well, we can see why we've got a growth rate of 0.5, 0.6%.
No.
Okay. I think that's the.
No.
You've joined Dada Moreira as the other honest politician, because at least you've answered the question honestly.
In June 2025, South African President Ramaphosa wrote in his weekly letter that private banks need to increase and intensify their racially discriminatory policies. In July 2025, President Ramaphosa celebrated the fact that the gap in household income between race groups had shrunk, primarily due to a decline in white and Indian household income. In July, it was revealed that the major South African company Bidvest's school bursary program for its poorest employees excludes white children, as it is only open to black, Indian and coloured families. It was later revealed that a company linked to South African President Ramaphosa was behind Bidvest's racially discriminatory school bursary program. In August 2025, the South African government threatened South African businesses that they urgently need to get their racial discrimination mandates in order or face severe penalties. In October, the South African Department of Employment and Labour issued the same threat, threatening steep fines and penalties for businesses that do not comply with the government's strict racially discriminatory employment targets it has set for 18 sectors. In May 2025, President Ramaphosa insisted that the use of racial classification and terminology by the South African government will continue, despite many questioning the need in post-apartheid South Africa to divide citizens into categories such as black, coloured, Indian and white. Ramaphosa argued that these racial terms and classifications, which were directly copy and pasted from the apartheid government, are necessary to guide race-based legislation. Also in May, Ramaphosa expressed his firm support for race-based laws. On 25 July, President Ramaphosa once again expressed his party and government's commitment to black economic empowerment, racially discriminatory policies, to put it directly. In August, the ANC again doubled down on its support for racially discriminatory policies. Also in August, Deputy President Paul Mashatile denied that black economic empowerment policies that exclude people based on skin color, are discriminatory in nature. A new study by the Free Market Foundation and the Solidarity Research Institute estimated that BEE, racially discriminatory policies, has already cost South Africa 5 trillion rand and led to the loss of 4 million jobs. In 2025, Professor William Gumede of the Wits School of Governance claimed that 1 trillion rand had moved between 100 politically connected individuals after decades of race-based policies by the South African government, such as BEE. Well, there you have it. The ANC and the South African government's most race-mad policies and rhetoric of 2025 alone. Is there a more racist government in the world? If so, why do you think so? Let us know in the comments down below. All the information covered in this video and more can be found in AfriForum's The World Must Know report, which can be found in the description of this video or at the website www.theworldmustknow.co.za. You can help AfriForum get the truth out about South Africa by downloading and sharing our report, as well as sharing this video. You can also help strengthen our efforts by becoming a member, link in the description. In the next video, we will be unpacking how private property rights are under attack in South Africa, and as always, don't just believe what we say, research what we say.